at increasing, one of ours is to increase the number of children 0 to 6 who are tested. It is a Medicaid requirement, and programs like ours at Head Start, that is a requirement of our program. So anyone in Head Start is getting that testing done. However, we have found that we really need to test all of our children. With our county being so high in older homes, it's not just those underserved folks that are living in those old homes. It's me and maybe you know, that has a historic home. And when you need to think about your physician or your nurse who's had all of a minute of lead testing training years ago, it's not always forefront on our mind when we're sitting down with our child or the family and doing education and talking about what testing needs to be done. It's a requirement for those Medicaid kids, but not necessarily everybody. So we're wanting to look at educating, like Jim said, educating and reinforcing with our physicians, and to make sure that everyone in our county is getting tested or offered that testing. Another piece being, you know, maybe that physician, well, this kind of goes into goal 3, where we're working with physicians to have that testing done. Sometimes we're finding, as me, the nurse who's talking to that parent, that I know I had that testing done with the doctor. Well, sometimes those families think that hemoglobin testing that got done was the lead, and so they're missing that piece. Or maybe that doctor writes that order, and the mom with 3 kids in tow walks out the door going, you know what, I just don't have time to go to lab right now. And so it's not getting done. If they're in our program, it's getting done somewhere. If I'm not doing it, you know, the office is. But there's a lot more kids in our county beyond our program. And the other piece I want to share with you is number 2, when we're talking about engaging families in that long-term, you know, trying to correct the lead situation. The health department has a nurse who reaches out to those kids who have an elevated blood level. So let me just explain that a little bit. There's screening and there's testing. So what I do, and the equipment the health department has just purchased, is a screener. It scratches, as I call it a scratch so we don't scare the children, but it's a poke of the finger and a quick 3-minute test that lets us know, gal, are they getting exposed? But, for example, I have a child that tested at 11 and went and got a blood draw, and that blood draw was a 2. So, thankfully, that child isn't elevated, but somewhere they're getting exposed. So the nice thing is those kids that come back with a blood draw of 5, the health department has a nurse that contacts them and says, I would be glad to come out and survey your home and help you find those sources of lead. But it's all of our parts to help educate those families. Oftentimes that service is turned down. The families are thinking, well, if I have someone come into my home, are they going to say I can't live here anymore? Or are they going to say that I'm, you know, report me to Child Protective Services because I'm not keeping my children safe? So that's kind of the thought processes behind goals 1, 2, and 3.